Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Miasin. So I wanted to start off this video by saying that I'm really proud to announce that I've just released my new Justice Hunter spreadsheet that it was done in collaboration with Lucas Sacco. So huge, massive shoutouts to him. Huge value that you can get off of it. So 225 combos for the full package in case you get the one spreadsheet that contains everything. And this one is valued at 35. Or you can get individual spreadsheets for $20 US. So we got the K9 spreadsheet that contains 63 Vanquish Soul combos, as well as 56 Christian combos, and then we've got the Yummy spreadsheet that contains 55 combos, and finally we've got the Dracotail spreadsheet that contains 51 combos. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Alright, so for combo number 1, we're gonna have Dracotail Lucius as well as Dracotail Mululu. They changed the name. And we're actually not going to be normal summoning the Lucius because that plays much harder into Ash as well as Imperm. So it's actually much smarter to normal summon the Mululu in case you have both normal summons. This is just the safer play because worst case you get Impermed on the Mululu. On the opponent's turn you can just go, okay, Mululu effect, summon the Altherion or the Gramel, and then you can bounce back a card. And then you can also, you know, get 2 sets on the opponent's turn. So you're gonna start with way more follow-up. It feels like it makes a lot of sense to start with the Stratos, but it also plays harder into Droll because it means that you got your first search off of the Lucius and not off of the Ketu. Normal summoning the Mululu and then effect fuse, summon the Altherions, bounce back one of the Dracotails, and then effect. So you're gonna be setting the Ketu as well as Rahu, and then recycle back, like I said, the Mululu, and then you're gonna flip the Ketu in order to search for the Femena or Phimena, whatever, and then flip the Rahu in order to send the Urgula. This card's really good. And then also fuse with the 5 mana from the hand in order to summon the Gramel. And then you're gonna go Chilling 1, Chilling 2, 5 mana, set one of the traps, and then Urgula set the other trap. So you got the Flame that can negate a spell card on the field. And also, it's not even like it requires like a Dracotail card being anywhere. It's like, it's just a bonus effect. If you got a Dracotail card in your grave or banished, you can place it on the bottom of the deck, then draw one card. But that's like a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because obviously drawing cards is always good, but it's a bad thing because it is ashable and purgeable. So if you're playing against Yummy, just watch out because even though they might have not hand trapped you on turn 1, they might actually use their hand traps as board breakers. So just keep that in mind. And then the Dracotail Horn has the exact same clause, but instead of negating a spell card, it just bounces back an attack position, very specifically, monster on the field to the hand or extra deck. So if your opponent starts summoning a bunch of monsters in defense, the Dracotail Horn might be a little useless. And finally, we're going to be going Urgula effects, so return it back on the bottom of the deck. This is like a really recurrent theme with like returning back cards on the bottom of the deck. So, you know, the 2 traps as well as Urgula and Dracotail Pan, they all do that. And then we're going to be recycling back a Spellcaster Dracotail monster from the graveyard to the hand, and that's going to be 5 mana. So this board doesn't really look like too much, but it's actually quite oppressive. So we got the Altherion, which is pretty much like a useless body. It doesn't do anything on the field, but it is still a fusion material, so that we can use 5 mana in order to like fuse away for something else. So it can be like Altherion plus the Mululu in order to summon another Altherion, for example. Or like it can be the Secretarion Dragon. Well, maybe not in this context, but like the Gramel and the Mululu could make Secretarion because that's a spellcaster and that's a dragon. Or you can even use like Gramel and the Altherion in order to make the Philia Regis. So that's another thing to consider. I believe that should be possible. I think it's like a big dragon and something else, whatever. You understand what I'm trying to say? So yeah, that you got a bunch of disruptions. The Gramel can pop a card. This is a negate. This is a bounce. And then this can negate whenever it's sent to the graveyard, and then this can summon another interruption. So again, it could be the Altherion, could be anything. So yeah, this is 5 disruptions as well as a set, and then 2 draws. So the thing is, you're interrupting your opponent, but you're getting crazy follow-up and a huge grind game in the process. And that's what I really like a lot about the Dracotail deck. But anyways, let's get into combo number 2 now. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to say that the Dracotail spreadsheet actually covers K9 Dracotail combos, and there's also like some pure combos in case you're interested. But I will be showcasing now a K9 Dracotail combo. Actually, I want to say the highest ceiling way of like playing the deck. It's absolutely disgusting what you can do. You can make a huge board, and you can actually make like 14 disruptions in this deck. I'm not gonna say more than that, but check out the spreadsheet. It really is worth it. But anyways, normal summon, and then you're gonna be searching for the 5 mana, and then 5 mana effect pitch itself, as well as any monster in your hand, can be anything, as well as the Lucius on the field in order to make the Altherion. And then you're gonna be going Chilling 1 Altherion, Chilling 2 Lucius, and then you're gonna be setting the Rahu. This card, by the way, it actually does lock you under fusion monsters only for the start of the turn after you use it. So make sure that it's like one of your last actions if you got the K9 engine. But anyways, you're going to be recycling back the 5 mana off of the Altherion, which means that you now have a level 5 to summon for the Jokul. So yeah, summon, and then Jokul effect, Surgy Lantern. This is like the number, or like 1 decision tree. So if you don't respect Nibiru, what you should do is you should link off these 2 cards for an IP Masquerena, and then summon the Lantern, and then revive back the Jokool, and then, you know, effect of the Lantern, search the case, and then case search Izuna, and then make Ripper, and then search like another Izuna, whatever. If you do respect Nibiru, you have to make the Lantern first, because this would be summon number 5. Summon number 1 was Lucius, summon number 2 was Altharion, summon number 3 was, both of these cards, so number 3 and 4, because Nibiru is not like, you know, the amount of summons, but rather the amount of monsters you summoned, so it's a little whack. But yeah, summon number 5 is going to be the Ripper, in case you want to respect it. But the drawback of respecting Nibiru in this very specific combo is that you're not going to be able to detach the 5 mana, which means that when you do use that Rahu, you can't really send like an Urgula for maximum value. Like you can, but like it'll just recycle back a Lucius instead of a 5 mana, which is less relevant in your hand. So if you want like full value and you feel like you cannot get nibbed by your opponent because your opponent probably doesn't play the card, or might have sided it out because this is post game 1, I recommend making the IP first and making the Ripper after. But we're going to be respecting Nibiru now, and we're going to be searching the Izuna, and then Lantern revive back, and then effect search the case of K9, and then activate that, and then you're actually going to be searching for the Lupus if you want like full value off of your cards, but it's not like necessarily something that you have to do. But the reason for that is because it's just going to be fusion material anyways. So instead of using like an Izuna that is actually a powerful card, and then you keep the Lupus in your deck, you might as well just get rid of that card, fuel it in your grave, so that even if your opponent has Ash for the Izuna, it's not going to matter because the Lupus is already there, so it doesn't matter anymore. But yeah, Rahu, and then fuse away by using the Urgula, like I said, from the deck to the grave, as well as the Lupus from the hand in order to Mega the Gramel. And then we're going to be going Gramel, Urgula effect, set the Flame, which negates a spell card. This is much better when you got a big board, and also Urgula can destroy a spell or trap card on the field after it's set, so you're going to be destroying your own case of K9, which can set the X-Force Liberation. This is a really nice play that you can do in quite literally every single deck that can play the K9 engine. Crystron can easily do this, and then this deck can do it, and Vanquish Soul can do it with like Caesar being able to destroy like your own cards, and also number C104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. So it's a really nice way of getting like total value, because now off of like the K9 engine, literally only one Jokool, one Lucius, and any monster, I'm able to handle like Ripper with the X-Force Liberation and the Izuna. So it's not like I gotta make a concession and only choose one of the good search targets. No. I can choose everything if I want to, even if my opponent didn't handshot me. So this is very good into board breakers because it's very layered, you know? Like you got Interruption like on the spell and trap zone in your hand, and it's just a really good deck. And you also get like crazy follow-up. And again, if we were not respecting Nibiru, we would have been able to like make the IP first and then make the Ripper, so that the 5 mana would have been in the graveyard and we would have been able to recycle this back, so it would have been 1 extra disruption. And this is already a massive board. I think this is like 9 or something disruptions. IP into SP, and then Gramel Pop, so that's 3, and then Ripper 4, and then X-Force Liberation is 2 disruptions on its own because you're destroying a card, and then you're also summoning the Werewolf, which can banish a card from the opponent's hand until the end phase. So now we're at 6 disruptions, and then Izuna into Lupus, and then make a rank 5 like a Val on the Psychic Scablaster. This is going to be like Interruption number 8, and then Dracotail Flame, that's a negate, Interruption number 9. I'm not the best at maths, but I think this should be like... This should be an unbreakable board for pretty much any deck out there. Last but definitely not least, we're going to be showing a line where we got Dracotail Mululu as well as 2 copies of Jokool, and we're going to be respecting Jewel and Logbird because this is a little different from opening like double Jokool and Lucius, since this time we cannot afford to like, we can actually play around Imprim anyways, so we might as well summon the Ripper first and then search for the Lantern. If we get Jeweled, we can just negate it, and I think most people would maybe not even use Jewel at this point because they might be afraid that this would turn on like an Izuna so that you could be able to make a Paradise Smasher, but let's just say your opponent Jewels you anyways. Look at this, we can make the IP, normal summon the Mululu, fuse for the Altharion, Chilling 1, Chilling 2, set the Rahu, and then recycle back the Mululu, and then fuse for the Gramel, send the Urgula from deck to graveyard just because we want to have it so that if we go normal summon Lucius and then he gets to like a grind game, we can like recycle it back and then you can keep playing from there. You know, the Urgula is always the best one because it also destroys the case of K9 so that you can set the X-Force Liberation. So yeah, honestly, Urgula in this deck, it's actually by far like one of the best Dracotail monsters, because the fact that not only recycles back the 5 mana or the Lucius so that you have better follow-up or more disruptions on your opponent's turn, but also destroying your own case of K9 so that you can set the X-Force Liberation. And this is an absolutely nasty board. And it respects Jewel and Logbird because instead of getting your first search off of the Jokool on the field, we get it off of the Ripper so that we already have a monster negate by the time we get our first search. So we're really respecting hand traps. Absolutely beautiful. This deck is very resilient and honestly much stronger than people give it credit for. Alright, for the deck profile, I'm gonna go over it really quick, but we're playing 12 Dracotail starters, so 3 Lucius as well as 3 Mululu, 3 Kitu as well as 3 Rahu. So the issue with Mululu as well as Rahu is that they both lock you under fusions only after you use them, and you're typically not trying to start right away with those cards. They're more like extenders in a way, kind of, than real starters. So that's the reason why some people only play 2 Mululu, but then they still play, you know, 3 of everything else, because Lucius really is absolutely broken. This card's actually way too good. Again, you can draw like 1 Lucius, 1 Dracotail, and any one monster, and you're basically just destroying the shit out of your opponent. Especially if you got a lot of Dracotail names, this is where you can start making like 14, 15 disruptions. And I'm not joking, it's actually very legit. I'm actually not clickbaiting. This deck really is that powerful in terms of like sheer amount of disruptions that you can do. Obviously, we're playing these 12 cards just for like maximum amount of starters. There are a lot of other considerations that you can make, such as playing Bestial Magnamut as well as Spot of Prosperity. Magnamut going second, very good card, because not only does it hurt the opponent, but also it searches your Mululu so that you can start playing the game. Or you can also search these 2 cards, so that if you got, you know, your kit, the Rahu access, then you can send like the other one, and then you fuse with that one from the hand, and then you go for like an Altherion, and then you start breaking your opponent's board like there's no tomorrow. It's absolutely disgusting. This deck is actually much better going second than it is going first, just because K2 Dracotail, it has a bonus effect when you're going second, and then these two cards, they start destroying boards, and they also don't target. They just like happen at resolution, so your opponent is just gonna have to like flip everything, respond to everything in one shot, and then you can start going normal summon, effect, fuse, and then break your opponent's board even more. And the cool thing about this deck is that it doesn't have to perform a lot of actions in order to start being oppressive, because it's kind of like Despia, where activating one single branded fusion already makes everyone panic. This deck is pretty much the same with cards like Rahu Dracotail. And also K2 Dracotail when you're going second. But yeah, anyways, these 12 cards, obviously no-brainer. And then 1 Urgula, 1 Pan, and then 1 of each of the traps. I think you can actually consider bumping up Urgula to 2 or 3 copies, and then Pan to 2 or 3 copies, depending on the build that you're playing. But for now, I think I'm satisfied with these ratios, because I did want to play a decent amount of non-engine cards, so 3 Fua, 3 Perulia, 3 Ash, 3 5-mana, as well as 3 Izuna. So that's a grand total of 15 hand traps in the main deck. And then the Call by the Grave, the Talent, and then obviously the K9 engine, so 3 Jokool, 1 Lupus, 1 Lantern, 1 Case of K9, and 1 X-Force Liberation. So yeah, I think this is like as clean as it gets for a 40-card Dracotail K9 deck list. And then for the extra deck, we are on 3 Altherion, 2 Dracotail Grimel, 1 Secretarion Dragon, and then this card right here, the Philia Regis. And sometimes you can make it, sometimes you can't. It depends, but honestly, you can use like double Altherion to make it, so it is quite realistic. If you have like Hieratic Seal, so that you can summon like Mululu, and then you can fuse away for like the second Altherion, and then use Altherion and Altherion for the Philia Regis using the 5-mana, it absolutely is possible, and this card is quite strong, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, anyways, Typhon, this is obviously a nice card when you're going second overall, and this deck is very good going second, by the way. It's not like it's going first or buzz deck. No, not even close. I think it's actually borderline better going second than it is going first, because you're drawing a 6 card, you're hand trapping your opponent on turn 0 with nasty cards like 5-mana, and especially if you like start using like 5-mana to use like 2 Dracotail cards, so that you always start your turn with like K2 and Rahu, it's like impossible to lose. But yeah, whatever. The Blue Eyes Link one, which, I mean, you're not playing Mausoleum or Blue Eyes White Dragon, it's really just so that you can turn a spellcaster into a dragon for Hieratic Seal. That's pretty much its only usage. And speaking of which, Hieratic Seal in this deck is Exodia. It is so broken. It bounces back a card, it summons the Mululu so that you can fusion summon for like Altherion or whatever, and then also Mululu is going to be negating something. It's just so many disruptions. You can also send like a Pan or like an Urgula like from your hand on to the graveyard on the opponent's turn, so that you can also pop a spell or trap card or pop a monster with Pan. It's just absolutely nasty. This card is so correct. I think it's like ideal in this deck. It's better in this deck than it is in like any other dragon deck I can think of. It really is that good. Yeah, SP, IP, I think that's also a no-brainer if you're playing the K9 engine. And finally, the Valon as well as Ripper and Paradise Smasher. Very easy to achieve. You got some nice combos that can just do it easily by punishing the opponent for like chumming you. And you're also not even giving too many draws to your opponent, and you're making like a super unbreakable board on top of having Paradise Smasher. It feels absolutely nasty. But yeah, you can also consider the Nash Knight package if you really want to, but you're gonna have to start cutting cards like Philia Regis and, you know, potentially IP or Valon. I don't know, I feel like it just takes like way too much space from your extra deck for something that may not always come up, because we only have 3 Joe-Cool, and also the Dragontail portion of the deck, it doesn't bridge into K9, and neither does K9 into Dragontail. It's more like they have nice synergy in terms of 5 mana as a level 5 that you can recycle back off of Altharion. So even if you only draw 1 Joe-Cool and no other level 5, you can at the very least take full advantage off of that 1 Joe-Cool. For the side deck, 3 Chaotic Elements going first so that we play basically 3 extra copies of Joe-Cool for more consistency. And also this deck is a great, this card is a great board breaker against the Razul deck, because not only does it searches the Joe-Cool, but it also steals Detonator for fun, for no good reason. It's absolutely insane. And then Lancey, of course, because there's still Malice in the format, with 3 Droll and Logbird, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Pankratops. Pankratops can be interchangeable with Contact C for the Yummy matchup, depending on what you want. Nibiru, I think, is a fantastic card in this deck, because you have a lot of other handshots that can be paired up with this card, so like Altharion, so that you can like make it so that your opponent actually does have to play into Nibiru. And also, I think this card is a great card overall against Yummy. If you use this as a board breaker against Yummy, you basically win the game. It's absolutely nasty. I've seen this with my own eyes, where the opponent was like trying to synchro summon, and then on his own turn he was like going Nibiru, get rid of everything, and then full combo after that. It's really, really disgusting. And yeah, obviously Droll is Droll. It's always gonna be a good card. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know how you feel about the Dragontail deck in the comment section below. And again, check out my my Dragontail, K9, and Yummy, as well as the combined Justice Hunter spreadsheet on my website, yesnwedge.com. Very first link at the top of the description box below. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.